to really go for it whenever I figure out what it is that I want. So it's very important for me to write these things down, get them out of my head into a place where I can see them, like on paper, and to have these goals in front of me and also in my face so that I'm seeing it and it's constantly being enforced in my mind. And with the persistence that I need to go forward. So figure out what I really want to do and write it down and develop a passion, a desire, then develop a passion and desire to really go after that. There's a few things that I know that I want right now, and I've taken the steps to start getting those things. So all I have to do now is massive action. If I think it's going to take a certain amount of passion, then what I need to do is multiply that action by 10, and to apply that amount of action to my goals. So if I think that I need to do, in my job, 100 signatures a day, then what I really need to be thinking about is doing 1,000 signatures a day. How can I do 1,000? And it's going to be way better for me to fall short of 1,000 than it is to fall short of 100. And this applies to everything. It applies to relationships with others. So if you think that a certain relationship of yours is going to take this much action, then you're going to want to apply this much action. You're really going to have to apply the work. We hear people talk about not being obsessed or consumed with our work, and we have a lot of expressions such as take time to smell the roses, and that's fine, especially if I can own a garden. But I don't want to settle. So for me, I want to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and do everything that I feel is my responsibility and my duty and my obligation. And that duty and obligation is to the people around me, the people on earth, my family, my co-workers, employees, to my clients. So I always want to make sure that I'm doing more than anybody would expect, up to the point and beyond that people would say that I was maybe crazy or out of my mind. But that's okay. I'm just one guy here on this earth, and I'm gonna live my life my way. Somebody else is gonna live their life their way, and I'm not gonna judge them. But I do want to challenge other people and tell you to find your obsession, to find your dream, your passion, that one thing or more. And I don't believe in just having one thing, but one of those things that is going to literally wake you up in the morning and light a fire under your ass. I have a few that light a fire under my ass right now. One of them is my job and the opportunity to earn $100,000 in the next 6 months. So I just get up, and that is the drive for me to be able to. The drive is not the money. The drive is the long-term goal for me. So it's actually going to be funding my stock account, and then another goal that I have is for making 30% weekly on my trades, and also pursuing a woman of choice. But it comes down to the massive action. If somebody wants to be an author, say, a teacher, or say a brother or a sister, somebody who they had dreams and passions, but they gave up on them, people tend to tell the others around them, the people who have given up on their dreams, that they should just be happy, being content, whether that's like a regular job with regular bills and a regular bank account. But that's selfish in a way, for people to live in a way where they're only taking care of their own needs. So I want to be in a place where I can take care of the needs of other people. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm taking massive action. One more thing that I have desired to do for a long time is make videos to help people who kind of have lost direction in their life or never found direction. A lot of us go through school and they don't teach us anything about success. They teach us all the basic logic and a little bit of art stuff, but they really take away the imagination in the formal schools. So what I want to do is create videos to teach people about some of the characters, some of the mindset, what's required for people to actually attain their desires, whatever they may be. And I'm going to keep doing these, and it's going to be a way for me to reflect on how far I've come from the point that I started to wherever I make it. So I want to do an exercise. We'll see how it works. You don't have to close your eyes necessarily for this one. Just depending on what kind of person you are, you might have to close your eyes for this. And once you do, close your eyes and imagine a vision or an image of yourself, what you look like, and don't judge, just appreciate that it's you. And the reason for doing this is that we're going to imagine the image of ourselves in our minds, that we have the things that we want, and this is very powerful. So one thing for me that I like to do is I like to imagine myself driving the car of my dreams. So I imagine that I'm sitting behind the steering wheel and I can see it, and the dash and the passenger seat. And maybe I'll imagine my wife or a person who I have a strong interest in sitting in the passenger seat, and the color of the dash and the windshield and the road out in front of me, and feeling the leather. And another example for me would be imagining in your mind's eye, seeing yourself, the image of you holding a stack of money that you desire. So it's very important for people to have a set amount of money that they want to desire, that they want to have. And it's not enough for us to say that we want a lot of money, or we want to be rich, or just enough to be happy. Those aren't good enough. There has to be a set amount. So it's important for us to take the time to think about the things that we really want in our lives. All of it. Make a whole fantasy plan land for your life, for my life. And use the mental imaging to accomplish this. And with persistent effort, with this technique, you can develop yourself into whatever you want to develop, whatever character you want to develop, whatever business, trade, study, personality type, skill you want to learn, you can develop by practicing this mental imaging technique. Just for an example, one thing I used to do was imagine that before I went out to the bars, I could see myself in my mind's eye in the bar, just looking good. You know, that's how I do. And I'm walking out of the bar with two ladies on either side of me, and they're very good-looking ladies. But it's important for me because it's a reality. The brain goes through certain activities whenever I imagine this scene, and I get a feeling, and that all comes from the brain. And when we put the brain through an experience so many times, it becomes easier. You know, it's something that you've learned to do so well that you could do it with your eyes closed. Okay, well, that could apply to anything. Ice skating, swimming, maybe a pilot could land a plane if he was blind. Maybe. They've done studies on stuff like this. They've had basketball teams, 3 basketball teams, that one would do no practice at all. Zero practice. One team would practice every day, so shooting free throws. And another team would do no practice, but they would take the time for the same amount of time that the team would practice. They would take the time, the third team, to imagine themselves making those shots. So instead of physically making those shots, they would just imagine that they would make them. And this is a very powerful concept if you can grasp it. So my goal is to help as many people as possible to accomplish their goals and their dreams, to figure out what they really want to do with their life, and to give people all the tools necessary that they need to do this. Each one of us have something we want to do with our lives, something that felt like we were called to do, something that when we were a child we said, I want to grow up to be, or I want to help change the world. If you felt like you were meant to change the world, it's pretty obvious that that's something that is on your heart. And each one of us has a little something. And I just believe that we have a purpose to fulfill. And I am a Christian, so I invite you to pray a prayer of faith with us. But this is for people that are trying to get better, for me to have a record of me working as hard as I can to do the things that I can to make it as far as I can. Everything that I felt like I was called to do, I don't ever want to give it up. I want to keep working on it harder and harder and harder and harder and harder, and I will never stop, and I will never give up. I will never stop, and I will never give up. So, a lot of times, these things that we really want will require us to do things that we may not want to do, that we may not want to do. Like right now, I am about to go to the gym, and I don't feel like it. Now, I love going to the gym. I do. I love lifting weights. I love getting a pump on, feeling great, having warm body temperature after I get out of the gym. I like looking but I don't want to do it right now. But it's important for me to do it and just to develop those habits. And one thing to note or to point out is that any habit that we develop and discipline leads to the development and discipline of more habits. And this works in both directions, the positive and the negative. A small example would just be brushing your teeth every day is a small discipline that'll probably lead to more habits, like drinking the amount of water that you're supposed to drink every day. Those two are probably related. People who drink, alright. And that probably lead people who drink water, as much water as they should every day, they probably eat the right amount of foods that they should eat. So each one of these disciplines leads to another. Just as reading books probably leads to, especially self-help books, reading books probably leads to having the desire to share the information that they've learned with other people. Which is where I'm at here. And this is also for me to come back and say, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. You're doing it. Thank you. And I'll just say shout out to the Netflix series Gotham. It's a great series. The characters are on point. So, man, I love myself. And I invite you to love me and to love yourself and to like yourself. I like me. And to like me. I'm not going to promote any of this on the YouTube, which is where this video is going, but at least YouTube gives me a place to store my videos for free so that I can go back over the years and be like, oh man, I remember when you were there, Ryan. I remember when you were at that point, Ryan, and look how far you have come. And not for my glory, I guess, but just for the sake of doing what needs to be done for my family, for myself, for other people. If I don't fulfill my potential, then I couldn't possibly help anybody else fulfill their potential. And the same goes for you. So I invite you on this journey to fulfill your potential. Tune back into these videos. Hit the subscribe button. And God bless. Namaste. The light within me acknowledges, respects, and honors the light in you.